want to talk about relationship. And if you saw Instagram, you saw relationships, and you thought I was going to talk about dating. Sorry, no, I am not prepared for that at all. So I meant a relationship with God. And it's something that the more I get to know God, the more time I spend with him, or just the more experience I have with life, I realize how important it is, how what I believe really revolves around my relationship with God. And, recently, I've really learned about Jesus being my companion. And that's kind of a new one. You know, you hear all these, like, comforter, father, companion, what else is there? Friend. And, I mean, you're like, oh, yeah, Jesus, you are. But sometimes you actually go a little bit more into depth and you think about it more, and mine most recent one has been that Jesus is my companion. And I realized when we were worshiping that actually kind of my whole examples and everything in here was kind of connected to that, because that's what I've been learning about. And it was interesting to me that the songs today, I'm not familiar with the second song, but there was a line about father and friend. What was that? Is that? I know he was a father and I know he was his friend. And then Simple Gospel also has a line about friend. I'm blanking, but I know the song, but I'm blanking. It's just so good. It's one of those things I didn't even realize I was learning until I'd learned it. A couple years ago, I heard these examples about how we treat our relationship with God, what our idea is of what our relationship with God is. And there was four false beliefs and one that was real. And one is that we're under God, that we're just a sinner. We're stuck there. We just are not good. And if we want to have anything to do with God, we just have to, like, follow his rules, obey the 10 Commandments, go to church, pray, read the Bible, and then that's kind of it, but we still suck. And that's wrong. And the other one was that we're kind of over God, that if we just figure out how it works, then we have success with God. So I don't remember exactly how they explain this one, and I think I don't relate, that's why. That's not how I feel. The other one is that God exists to give me what I want. This one I remember because the speaker explained it, that it was like people thought he was a Walmart, and they would just be like, go and like, okay, I'm going to pick this, and I'll leave that and that. I'm going to take this and this. I want like the joy, and I want the peace. And then I kind of leave. And I remember because I was like, that's what I've done. Kind of don't even talk to God. I just want to be like, I want that from you and that from you, and can you give me that too? And he wants more than that. And the last false belief was that if we work hard enough, if we do good enough, our works, then that's what that is. We just give to God. We just give our time and everything, but there's nothing that we get back. And I have diagrams, and you can't see them because they're so tiny. Except for the big one. Oh, no, this one. There's one in the middle. The one in the middle was, there's an arrow to God and back to the very creative stick figure. And it says relationship beside. So that's a relationship where it goes both ways. And that's what God wants. He wants to be with us. He wants to communicate with us, not just one way. Yeah, when I imagine me speaking, you know how you imagine conversations in your head? Well, I've spoke to you about 10, 20 times already, and in my head I have this like beautiful like PowerPoint because I'm a visual learner, and so I think I want to give that to you, but then I think about setting up with the computer, and I'm like, I've never done that. Never mind. I'm lazy. Sorry about that, but if you're a visual learner like me, I'm sorry. But it's a nice idea. Very nice idea. I think Clara does it sometimes. So, do you guys still have to do PowerPoints or slideshows at school ever? Yes? I never had to, and that's why I'm not doing a PowerPoint for you, so good for you. God created us for relationship. It's why he made us. He made us for a relationship with him. He made us for a relationship with each other. Literally, if you go to like Genesis 1, we're going to go there after all my useless pages in my Bible with the colorful things that don't say anything. So after everything that God made, he's like, and God saw that it was good. He like made the man, I should have written this stuff down. I'm sure you guys know the creation story. He made the darkness, he made the light. And then, he finished the first day and it was good. Does he say that every day? Every single day? Yep. I think I see it. Every day it was good. But God wanted more. He wanted more than those things because he couldn't have a relationship with those things. So he created man in his own image because he wanted relationship. We have a soul. We can communicate with him. We can think. We have a mind. We have a heart. We have feelings. And that is what he wanted. He wanted companionship, just like we do, just like I do. The biggest proof or example to me, and I hadn't even thought about this as much as I now have in the last week, is Jesus dying on the cross is literally the biggest example. And not just because he saved us from our sin. Like there was sin between us, we couldn't have a relationship. So when he died, he took that burden, and now we could have a relationship with him. But it gets bigger, because now we have everlasting life. So we're forever going to live with him, so he can't get rid of us. So we're forever with him, so I think that means he wants a relationship with us. Like, that was the whole purpose. And I'd never thought about it. I'm like, yeah, if he was not wanting to have a relationship, he would not have done that. Which I actually took the very famous John 3:16. And we've heard it a bazillion times, but I was curious what it sounded like in a different version. And so I put it in the Message version. And so this is what it says. This is how much God loved the world. He gave his son, his one and only son, and this is why. So that no one need be destroyed by believing in him. Anyone can have a whole and lasting life. So they don't even say everlasting there, which I found interesting. But yeah, he did it because then anyone can have a whole and lasting life. And the other verse I had for my proof of that Jesus wanted a relationship with us is because he wants to eat with us. Now, who likes to eat? Yes. Me too, a lot. I like to eat a lot. When there came a certain point where I had to stop eating certain things because my body reacted to it in a bad way. And I did not realize how much I wanted to eat. It's not just I want to eat with people. I want to eat what other people eat. It's very bonding stuff. I like eating at, the dinner table. I like eating in front of a movie and snacking. Okay, you guys are going to start thinking I'm going to be 300 pounds soon, but I won't. I think. I hope. The verse on eating is also a very, very popular one. I just pull out the popular ones because I guess those are the good ones. Look at me. I stand at the door. I knock. if you hear me, call and open the door. I'll come right in and sit down to supper with you. So he's ready to eat with us. He's ready to bond with us. Yeah. So I got all scholarly and I pulled out, what is a relationship, on the Google. And I clicked on Webster. And they gave me a very interesting definition. The relation connecting or binding participants in a relationship, a state of affairs existing between those having relations or dealings. Huh? Yeah, I didn't quite get that. So I went to some American Standard, something dictionary. The way in which two or more people feel and behave towards each other, and of course, a close romantic friendship between two people. So I think we're talking about number 1 from the American Standard Dictionary. So what I found interesting is it said the way in which two or more people feel and behave. So it matters how we feel. And I'm not saying that everything is about feelings, because our feelings can be wrong. But if you have a relationship with a friend or some other person, you pay attention to how you feel around them. It's not just how you act. And you like to be with people that make you feel good. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, wow, we are the same way with God. It is about how we feel towards God. Not always. Some days we have to choose to act different than our feelings, but sometimes I have days where I think to myself, okay, so what is the point of this? Why do I believe what I believe? Why is my faith my faith? What, Jesus just died on the cross and I can go to heaven and that's it? Like, I accepted him. Is that it? I have those days where I feel that way. But it is more than that. He doesn't just want us to be like, okay, good. Yes, Jesus, I'll go to heaven someday. He wants to constantly be in communication with you. He wants to be in relationship with you. What he did for us was not just go to heaven. Like, it wasn't just the one thing. It was so we could constantly be with God. And I was thinking about the similarities and the differences of human relationships and our relationship with God. And our human relationships are kind of, in some ways, a picture of our relationship with God. In some ways not. One thing is, our human relationships are definitely not perfect because we are not perfect people. So you put two imperfect people together, and there are bound to be some issues sometimes. And with God, I guess there's only one imperfect person in the relationship. But he is perfect. And so when we are turning away, then that's not the perfect relationship. But when we come back, it's instantly a perfect relationship because our heart's in the right place and he's always ready to take us back. Something else I was thinking about was jealousy. So, okay, it's time for confession time. How many of you have been jealous of a friend if they're hanging out with somebody else? Yes, let's be honest here. Good. I'm not the only one because this would have been very awkward if I would have been the only one. I think we do that a lot, and it is not right. But what does it come from? Why do we do that? Why do you think? Trust issues? Yeah, probably. I think for me, it would be that I would start to feel insecure, like, think the other person is better than me. Oh, I'm not invited to their thing. And that's probably not, it's not at all what it means. But that's what we start feeling. At least I do. I get very insecure. And God is also jealous, but it is not because he's insecure. He is jealous because he is wanting to talk to you. He's wanting to spend time with you because he'll see, if Lene is having a bad day. You never have those, do you? He's just thinking, oh, Lene, if you just take some time with me, like, I just want to impart such peace in you. I have so much for you. You just slow down, just spend some time with me. That's what I think of. He's jealous in a good way. Okay, here's another one. More confession time. I'm just gonna make you all fess up everything. How many of you have tried to impress somebody? Like do you put certain? I think girls, we do a lot. We do our hair a certain way, or put our clothes on a certain way because we're thinking of what this one person will think, and if they just talk to me, or compliment me on what I put on. I don't know. What do guys do? The same thing, or pretty similar? It's not about strength. No. Cameron's no, it's not about strength. I'm not sure what that means. But yeah. And we try to get other people's attention in interesting ways. I think that probably is also an insecurity. But God also wants our attention. And I feel like there's so many things that he does for us that we don't even notice. Because we're not listening. We're not taking time to listen. There are, Clara's mom had a testimony at church, on the video, and she was talking about how she'd had a bad day, and then she had found a $10 bill, and it had just been reassuring for her. But here's the thing. She was asking, and she was listening, and all of a sudden it just lifted her spirits. And I think there are so many times that if we would just open our ears a little bit, then there'd be so many ways that God is talking to us. And so often, I think if we're not listening, then we're like, oh, well, God is not saying anything anyway. The thing is, are we listening, or are we just talking to him? In my case, asking him for things all the time, which is not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. It is not a bad thing to ask God for things, but if we're asking and not listening, then it's only one way. There are many different ways that God can talk to us, and one of them, dreams. I admit that is a hard one for me because I feel like if I dream, I just dream weird things about what I thought or did the day before. So, if I made a bunch of tortillas in one day, then I watched a movie about dragons. Then in my dream, the dragons are trying to get at my tortillas, and I don't know. It's messed up, and I don't think it means very much. But, Clara's looking at me like it could mean something. Okay. But I was going to say, I had recently where I got sick, and the first couple of days were very hard. I was very sick. And then I had this dream about that I was in the middle, and all these, bad, evil things were trying to get at me. And then I was in the middle, and then all of a sudden, Jesus was there holding me. And he was, holding me, and yet he was, fighting off all the bad things at the same time, multitasking. And I was, in a fever-induced state, and I felt like I could hardly think. And at the same time, all of a sudden, I was so reassured. I was like, he is fighting for me. And it's almost like my defenses were just so completely down that I think finally he could speak through me, through a dream for me, because usually it doesn't, I don't know. I don't understand my dreams, I guess. Is that clear? My mom's thing is wildlife. If she sees, like, if she's been asking God for something, or like she's having a hard time, then if she sees wildlife somewhere on the road, she's just like, oh God, yes, you're so good. I'm like, it's a duck. Oh, sorry, Mom, you might watch this. What I'm saying is, it's different things for different people. We had Lena speak. Did she speak one Sunday? And was it a Sunday? I think there was a Sunday she spoke. And for her, it was all about hearts that she saw in all kinds of different ways. And it was so special to her, and that was the way that God was speaking to her. Something else I thought of was youth retreat. So, who got something from the youth retreat? Yes? And let me tell you, it was probably because you were listening. That's something, I think youth retreats are awesome. And part of the reason is we're finally taking time and listening. And, we also usually have awesome speakers and worship and everything. That helps. But we're finally listening. So something else that is similar to a human relationship and a relationship with God is it takes effort. That is hard sometimes because sometimes it feels so far away because it's not always physical. But it is just as real. And if you had a friend who you're like, yeah, I have a friendship with this person, but they would never talk back to you, it would be, I think, a little bit disheartening, and they wouldn't be your friend for long, I'm guessing. Or I guess if somebody really loves to, I was going to say really loves to talk, but I guess that wouldn't be you then. I don't know. Yeah? So you just talk and the other person's quiet. Okay, all right. But it takes time, it takes effort. And I cannot say I have this down pat. Sometimes all of a sudden a week goes by and I'm like, I have not sat down one time and listened for what God has to tell me. I think we all tend to do that from time to time. And that is okay. God does not want just shame and shame and shame and shame about that, because He is perfect. If we turn to Him, He's like, yes, I've been waiting, let's hang out. I have so much to tell you. He's not telling you, oh, it's been a long time, I guess I'll give you the silent treatment for 15 minutes at least. He is always ready. There are many different, people have many different ways of doing that. I think there's not one specific way that everybody has to communicate with God. Because our relationships with friends are different. We do different things. We like different, each person likes different things. I have different hobbies. I had, hockey season started, right? I know nothing about sports, but I'm now married, so I guess it means. So was it started yesterday? 2 days ago? There was a Jets game yesterday. Yeah. I know because it was blaring in the house. And to me, it's like, yeah, my husband's going to watch this. To me, it's like these, so you know when the radio and the commercials come on the radio? I really dislike that. Every time it happens, I'm like, turn it off. And so to me, a hockey game is kind of like that. It's like commercials. It's just blaring and blaring. He likes it loud. But that's okay, because I want him to have hobbies. My point is, we like different things. People have different hobbies. So now don't try to just have a relationship with God like the other person has a relationship with God. I've heard people say they like to go out in nature, and that is just their favorite way to listen to God or talk to God. For me, I like to sit down. I like to journal out my thoughts, and then I like to listen to him. I sometimes put music on. Some people probably play worship music on their own instruments. What else is there? There's a lot. Reading the Bible. Now this one I know can be very unexciting sometimes. But I have learned to enjoy it too. I take the time. I ask God to speak to me through what I'm going to read, and I'm sometimes surprised. If not, you instantly getting something that I'm like, God, well, I hope what I read just, put that somewhere in my subconscious, and I want to learn from this. And there are practical things too. I know sometimes you need to get a different version of the Bible so you can understand it. Do that, because this is good stuff. It's all his truths are in here. His whole message about how much he loves us and how he wants a relationship with us. It's all in here. In your Bible too, but here too. And something that I have found is when I spend time with God, when I take the time for that, then my relationship with people becomes better too, because I'm now spending time with the person who created a relationship, who knows how to have a perfect relationship, and I'm learning from that. And then I can have a closer relationship with people, with my family and with my friends. And so there's fruit from taking the time.